Hello, hello! I promised you some more nature journaling. And if you saw through my window today, it's a really gloomy day. I wanted to tape this outside, but it was raining all day. And it was raining yesterday when we were on the field. So, sorry, I can't take the equipment outside, but I'll show you what you can do in these kind of conditions. Because sometimes we think, well, now it's wet outside, it's cold outside, there's ice storm, whatever there is, I can't do any nature journaling. But that's not exactly true. We can usually still go for a quick short walk, maybe with an umbrella if we need to, and we can pick up some little twigs and branches, and then we can journal at home. And I'll show you just how to do that. It's very simple, and I'm sure you'll find some ideas that you can try, because they're really simple, from shadow drawing to tracing the little twigs, and then more artistic approach and more scientific approach. I'm sure you'll find something that you like. Well, at least I hope so. So this is what we'll do. We'll draw some twigs and some shoots, and we'll also paint them. So let's start with this incredibly easy drawing exercise. It's literally tracing. Take a small branch or twig that fits into your journal and just trace around it. It's really that easy. It's easier if you hold your pen a bit more perpendicular while you draw, so that it doesn't get stuck at bumps. When the outline is traced, you just add details while observing the tiny branch. It's so interesting when you look it up close. You see all the tiny details, the little white spots, the buds, everything. I hope you try it out. Maybe when you're on a walk, just look at the twig up close. If you do or intend to, leave me a comment, please. That really makes my day, and I'm so happy when these silly little videos inspire someone. Thank you so much for all your messages. It's like a little piece of me would be projected out into the world. And speaking of projections, you can do a very similar thing with shadows. You can trace shadows, literally. Place your little twig between your light source, like your night light or whatever you use, a lamp, and your journal. And then you just trace around the shadow. When the sketches were done, I traced them with ink. You can use a technical pen, a fine liner, even a ballpoint pen would work. Just work with what you've got. These are literally just drawing of twigs. You can't really mess them up. And they really don't need to be fancy. Have the twig in your hand while you're drawing, and you'll notice the little details you probably never paid attention to. Like how the buds are placed, and their shape and size, and the color of the stalk, and the size of the stalk compared to the buds. Are there any thorns, and so on and on. There's so much in this little twig. When you focus on something, you find so many interesting details in it. It's like a whole new world. Here I should mention I'm really grateful to my colleague who opened up this whole world to me. He's so passionate about winter twigs, and he can tell you from which tree any little twig is coming from. That it's really fascinating. And now we play this game. I bring the twigs from our walks to work, and then he tells me what tree they come from. Even my kids are on it, and the whole family brings me branches from everywhere. Who knew how much fun some little twigs can bring? And if you want to determine the species of the twigs you picked up by yourself, an illustrated guide will help you a lot. I found references on Pinterest, but they're also in some books and on nature sites online. I sketched some of the more common trees that grow here, and I guarantee you that's the most fun way to learn. I went a bit crazy with the colors. They're not as vivid in real life, but I can correct this. It's usually not a problem to dull down a color, just go over it with brown or gray or the opposite color on your color wheel. Now I just have to remember all of these shoots. That might take a minute. And that's it for the scientific approach. You see, we can make science arty and fun. Most of our work can be translated into art in one way or another. Just try it out. Take inspiration from real life and just go with the flow. What's the worst thing that can happen? A wonky drawing that literally no one else will see? It sounds pretty low risk to me, don't you think? And for a more artistic approach, let's try some painting. Painting was always my more artistic medium. So let's paint a winter forest. I cycle every day to work through a forest and I really love it. I admit I love it much more in the summer when it's warm and hot, but it's still nice even in the winter. The gray hues can be magical too. Don't believe me? Well, try to paint it. Gray can make a normal forest feel a bit enchanted, and you don't need to be skilled to do that. As you saw, my sketches were literally just a few lines crossing each other. Then I first painted just the background, we call this negative painting technique, and afterwards I added the trees in the background and in the foreground. In the end, I just shaded everything a bit and added some details. Voila, done! And to finish off with another fun exercise, painting birches by swiping paint with a plastic card. Just load the paint to the edge of the card and carefully but confidently swipe it over. It's literally my first try. This painting technique is usually done with acrylic paints, but it works with watercolors too. You can use whatever card you have for this. I got this skiing card in old hand-me-down winter jacket that we got from friends. We never go skiing, although it's our national sport, but we're not into it. But the card itself is very useful for arts. You could use any plastic card though. An old, preferably expired credit card or health insurance card or hotel room key card, a gift card, whatever. Even piece of a cereal box would work just fine for this. It would get mushy after one use, but I'm sure it would handle one tiny little painting like this. So why am I telling you all this and rambling about? Because too often we get stuck on, oh, I don't have that, I don't know how to do that, that won't work, it won't look good, I'll ruin the paper, like it's the paper's dream to be stored in the back of our craft cabinet. I don't know what paper dreams about, but I'm pretty sure it's not that. If I were the paper, I'd want to be used for a good purpose. If you think I'm wrong, ask your paper if it wants you to draw on it, and if it says nothing, it agrees and wants you to draw and paint on it. Anyhow, all these excuses often prohibit us to do any art, even that little bit that we could in the time that we have. And that's a shame. Because the paper wants to be used, as we've established by now, we could all use the outlet and sometimes even an escape from our daily life. And this way we can even incorporate our experiences in our art, which can make the experiences themselves and the daily life feel more meaningful. It's very hard to be totally indifferent or bored about something that you draw. Try it out. Draw a work meeting or your daily commute, and you'll see that it will make you feel different about those experiences, because you will look at it with different eyes. Or maybe want to draw something that is already worth to remember, like your kids or grandkids hug when they come from school. It can be challenging to draw the whole scene, but you could always draw a twig from the tree where you met them when you picked them up from school, or from the bushes on the way home. There's always bushes everywhere, at least here. So I hope this inspired you to get creative or to look at the mundane things like winter twigs with different eyes and to see the beauty all around us. If you can find little twigs interesting and beautiful, you'll see the world very differently than most people. I guarantee you that. And that's not a bad thing, because most people don't see all those beautiful little details in the world. And if you want to peek through the curtain of this magical nature world, come next week for some more things you can do in all seasons. See you then, and thank you so much for watching and for all your lovely comments. They really make my day. Bye bye!